Yes, we are live again.
Hello, everybody. Am I audible to all of you?
Yes, sir.
Wonderful. Hello, everyone. Welcome to one more wonderful events online event hosted by SPJN School of Global Management, titled under Lead Tomorrow series. As the name suggests, it's an event that helps us to understand the various kinds of forces in terms of strategic business forces that shapes and is shaping the global business. Today, we have a very illustrious panel to discuss one of the very important aspects of a kind of shift that we see in global wealth management, and we have named it aptly as the global power shift in wealth. And who can be better than the panel that we have today to discuss about what's happening across the globe in the wealth management sector? We have Mr. Suvo Sarkar, a name who is synonymous with the banking and financial services industry in the Middle East. Apart from serving in the most senior positions in the banking industry, he's also advised several consulting companies and runs his own podcast, which has been rated among the top three in UAE for a significant period of time. I will leave Shubho sir to introduce him in more details in a short while from now. Then we have Ms Sonali. Sonali happens to be our alumni, an established alumni which we are all very proud of. Today, she is working as an executive director of Anand Rathi in Dubai, and she looks after the NRI segment of business in the company. We have Saurabh Saraswat, an academic and a professional. He runs his own company called InQuant, a hedge fund, quantitative hedge fund trading company, and he is also the director of SPJN School of Global Management's Master of Applied Finance and Wealth Management, which is a one-year program that runs across its Dubai and Mumbai, India campus. Now I leave it to all of this illustrious panel to speak a little more about themselves, starting from Shubho sir.
Hello, everybody, and good afternoon. I have been a banker for better part of 4 decades, 38 years to be precise. So I guess I'm the oldest person in the entire room in the community here. My last role was running the wealth management and retail banking business globally for Emirates MBD, the largest bank in the Middle East. Since I retired from that role 2 years back, I now do a bunch of things. One of them is being the vice chairman of a wealth management advisory firm out of Dubai International Financial Center, DIFC. He also advised in various capacities to three companies that include IBM, MasterCard, and I'm a senior advisor to McKinsey, working on wealth management and retail banking projects across the Middle East and elsewhere. Very happy to be here. I'm a keen student of the trends of wealth management and retail banking in the region and globally. So very happy to join this esteemed panel. Sonali?
Great. Thank you, Shubha sir, and Dr. Arindam sir as well for having me here. Just a quick introduction about myself. I am the executive director and manage the international business for Anand Rathi Wealth Limited. We are one of the largest, in India who are managing personal assets for clients. The only publicly listed pure play wealth management firm. Been with them for the last 13 years and learned wealth management from the ground up over there. Along with looking after their international business, I also manage clients myself, close to about $200 million that I'm looking after. And along with that, I'm also very passionate about spreading financial literacy among women. So I try to kind of simplify, basic investment concepts for women to grasp and not think that it's not for them. So yes, that's about me.
Okay,
So
thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Banerjee. Thank you, Sonali, and thank you, Suo sir, for your kind introductions. About me, I have been into banking for almost 18 years. And then for the last 5 years, I've been running a hedge fund in India called InQuant,
as Dr. Banerjee mentioned. I worked for BNP Paribas, Standard Chartered, and Citibank, and both retail banking and corporate banking. And I have a very keen interest in sharing my learning with the community. And one of the reasons is my joining SPGen was to basically be able to contribute to the Masters in Applied Finance and Wealth Management due to the direct learnings that I've seen over multiple years. And I also teach at IIM Udaipur, 2 courses of finance.
Thank you, sir. Thank you,
Thanks.
Sonali, and thank you, Mr. Sarkar. Listeners, as you can understand, we have a very, very illustrious panel, and this panel comes with a very rich blend of academic as well as industry experience, which is very pertinent to the discussion that we are going to have today. Wealth management, it's something which everybody understands how it's done, but very few take very keen interest on how to make it better. The Middle East over the period of time has gone through significant shift in the way by which it has gained prominence as a powerhouse of wealth management industry. Uh, Today, the Middle East, especially UAE, followed by neighboring countries like Qatar and some more, are seeing more of an influx of people's interest in pumping money into this region in various forms. No better person to understand this region than Mr. Sarkar himself, who has been at the helm of decision making for a very significant period of time. Sir, my first question to you: what, according to you, are the forces that you see which is reshaping the wealth management industry in general, with a special focus in the Middle East?
So let me talk about the 3, 4, or 5 forces that I see affecting the industry in wealth management here in the recent times. The first one I'll talk about is what I'll call hyper personalization, where we are seeing clients, high net worth clients, expecting tailored products, proactive service, and real-time portfolio insights. No longer, a solution that fits all, but generic, but advisory services that are really tailored to the individual risk profiles. And that's become easier with AI, right, to do. So that's the first trend. The second is, I think there's a move to digital across all industries, definitely in banking and also in wealth management now. We are seeing robo advisories. We are seeing seamless digital onboarding, compliance being done digitally and through AI. So that's a second trend. The third, I would say, is alternative assets. And I'm sure Sonali can talk a little bit more about this, but we're seeing a diversification from traditional assets to venture capital, to private equity, to private credit, to real estate, to ESG assets, right? So there's a huge move, especially for the younger customers, the millennials and Gen Zs, to moving to impact investing and to ESG investing. So there is definitely an expansion in the kind of assets that people want to put their wealth into. The fourth trend, I would say, is what is being called the great wealth transfer. Over $100 trillion of wealth will move from the baby boomers, people, I guess, in my generation, into people in Sonali's generation and other younger people. And that's, the number varies, but I think 100 to $125 trillion is going to move in the next 25 years. $1 trillion in that is estimated only from the Middle East region, right? So that will change a lot of things, kind of products, kind of service, etc. The final force, or I'll talk about, is how wealth management is moving from the west to the east in terms of the centers of wealth management. In the past, it was very much London, Zurich, Geneva, etc. We are seeing a bigger and bigger move now to the likes of Dubai and Abu Dhabi and Singapore and Mumbai, which is a real trend that we are seeing. Just Dubai alone, UAE alone, has seen 10,000 billionaires who will move here for the next 3 years. So about 3.5, 4,000 moved in last year. There are multi-millionaires moving in here, right? There are people moving base from, for whatever reasons, tax reasons or lifestyle reasons, from the place like London or Singapore or elsewhere into Dubai. So that's the other trend. I would call it the west to east move in terms of the industry. So those 5, I think, in my mind, are the top 5 trends today.
Thank you so much, sir. I think we will not close this discussion here, but we'll take this as a stepping stone to catapult into the next level of discussion. And I think we will move first to Saurabh ji. I'll come to you, Sonali,
Yeah.
though I'm tempted to ask you a question, but give me a little bit of hear me out. The reason I'm coming to Saurabh ji, you wear two hats. Okay. One, of course, is a hat of dealing with the future wealth managers in the class. Okay, so they are the future wealth managers, and they are going to manage
That's
the
right.
cohort. You are going to manage. They are going to manage those people which Mr. Sarkar spoke about, the different kind of generations, that my child and I mean, the kind of thing. But I think more importantly, you come from a practice background. You run your own fund. And the interesting part is you run your fund, which is a very typical hedge fund and alternative. You run in the AIF segment, correct? In the alternative
Correct.
investment.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, in the alternative segment. Of course, I understand the shapes, which is there cannot be much of a difference in terms of the forces that shape the wealth management market in India. But I'm sure you have something more to add. And what, according to you, you see uh, these kind of alternatives are going to take its prominence in years to come, especially in India, in terms of the growing wealth market as projected by some of the big wealth management firms like Anand Rathi, MO, 360, and others, who are basically projecting India as not a growing market, but basically as an exploding market.
That's
Exploding
right.
market. So your take on this, sir, the forces that you see is going to shape, and from your own perspective of AIF.
So, Dr. Banerjee, thank you so much for this question. There is no doubt that India wealth management market is exploding. Exploding is the only word because the kind of wealth that you see coming into the market, especially now in the tier 2 and tier 3 towns, like the bigger players are going out and suddenly discovering that there is a huge amount of money lying in there, which actually doesn't have any guided wealth management. I can give you a personal example. I teach at IIM Udaipur. There is a TIE section of IIM Udaipur, the Indus Entrepreneurs. They have about 20 top businessmen who are coming in. So we have done a couple of sessions. Me and my partner have done a couple of sessions with them. So these are people who will typically have around 1,000 to 5,000 crore kind of small industries or mid-size industries. These are not listed entities, but they have a lot of wealth. And they actually reached out to us to say that, can you advise us on wealth management topics? So we had to explain that we are a fund house and we are not a health wealth manager. So we introduced them to some of the players. And actually those players have gone now there for their meetings and have got those relationships. And these are not small relationships. I'm talking about relationships which are more than 100 crores to start with, which is quite decent for a new wealth management entity to be getting into and getting a new client there. Uh, what has also happened is that because of all these education which people have learned over the last few years, social media becoming very important, markets becoming very important after the COVID, because a lot of people started getting into equities, people have got a very strong grasp of the mainline products that are available. So most of the people are very comfortable with equities. Mutual funds giving out all those advertisements, mutual fund sahi hai, plus explaining which are the various kinds of equities. SIPs have become very big in India. 28,000, 25,000 crore per month of money coming into mutual funds. So people are very, very comfortable into equities to the extent that they feel that nothing can go wrong, which means they're saying that you as a wealth manager can come and talk to me about equities, but it's going to be an equal discussion. I know almost as much about equities as you do. On the debt side, of course, because of taxation in India, it is not as attractive as it was earlier. So equity and debt are both there, but equity people are very, very comfortable. Now you're coming to alternatives, and I will also talk about private credit as an alternative. So in alternatives, you have these absolute return funds like people like Avendus, ASK, people like us. We are, of course, small right now, but where the returns that the fund generates are not correlated with the equity and the debt segments. So it's a very different kind of returns that people are getting. And they like the fact that there is more predictability to these returns as against equity. And then finally, I will talk to you about two more parts. One is the private credit, which has become tremendously big in India. Private credit came into existence because banks, because of their capital requirements of Basel III, were not able to lend as freely as they were able to do earlier. So mutual funds, sorry, the AIF have jumped in. They are saying that investors will give directly money to the people who were earlier serviced by banks. So this is becoming a pretty interesting segment in India. And finally, you have those REITs and InvITs, the REITs and the InvITs, which are basically commercializing the real estate sector and bringing it out to people as a very structured form of investment. So all this together is making it very lucrative for people to come in and understand. And of course, for wealth managers to come in and talk to people more and more about these investment avenues.
So thank you so much. So in a nutshell, the ecosystem that has been built around this wealth spectrum is now becoming, I would say, not lucrative, but becoming much more useful for every user to be part of it.
You're right. Yes.
Okay, fair enough. So we'll talk about it. Sonali, you have a very unique, role here to play in the discussion. You have basically moved from India, having done wealth management a bit. Now you are heading a very senior role, a very big company, and dealing with a segment which is the only kind of its segment uh, which across the globe is known by the same abbreviation NRI. Okay, so that's very unique. That's We don't have any other country in the world which has this abbreviation attached to their country. It's only India, non-resident Indian. I haven't seen any other. So what is interesting for us to understand, knowing that you are dealing with a specific segment, do your clients understand the things which is the forces that is reshaping, and are they demanding such things to be delivered, and how is you as a company is catering to this kind of segment in the Middle East?
Thanks, Dr. Arindam sir. Yes, it is unique, and it's also very vast. What ends up happening is that NRIs from the Middle East, you have to cater to them differently because of taxation being an advantage here, whereas NRIs from the US have other different challenges of taxation, which is applicable in their home countries. Our primary focus is to gather investments from all across the globe, from NRIs to go back towards India. So that's one bit, that we are very India focused. So that way our challenge is lesser because we don't have to necessarily look at various investment options which are available outside, but focused on India. So one big trend that we have seen is a change from when we would have started 10 years ago. We started our Dubai office, and initially, even to NRIs, we had to sell India. Right? You had to talk about India being a place of growth. Their interest was far more towards the Western markets. Whereas now we have a shift where NRIs from the US are, reaching out to us and saying, "I want to invest into India. Tell us what's the best way." In the Middle East as well, customers are wanting to increase allocation towards India and other, emerging markets. In line with what, Suvo sir as well said, that the booking centers have been moving towards the Southeast Asia. There's a shift of, wealth management firms booking into Singapore, Hong Kong, and looking at more of Southeast Asia rather than the, Switzerland and other parts of Europe. So a definite shift that we have seen, but I'm also going to add in that there is a generational change when that's happening. This is more the baby boomers that we see are interested towards going back towards India, but the Gen Zs and the millennials are very much interested still to make investments outside towards the West. However, a big keen interest in the private equity space in India. So we see a lot of people moving back to India NRIs, their children, moving back towards India to set up businesses and get part of that growth. So that's an increased trend that we have seen. And how do we cater to that? We actually have a very specific model which is catering to a 15% return. So we are medium risk, medium return people. That's where we come in. So if someone is looking for something which is alternative, we'll probably not be providing it. Right. So we are very specific. We have a niche of our clientele, and which is also a big segment that people require basic help of. You have awareness of mutual funds, but how do you pick the mutual funds? How do you maintain taxation? How do you optimize taxation? How do you do your estate planning of going to the next generation? How do you educate the next generation of what needs to be done? So that's where a lot of what we end up doing. So alternatives, we do see an interest in private equity, but most of our HNI clients, what they do is they have been doing their own. We set a target of how much of their total percentage of their overall allocation should be into private equity, but they actually do the due diligence of what private equity investments they want to make. And a big trend that we have seen among our HNI and ultra HNI clients is that they prefer to make investments into, private equities where they know something about the person backing it. So, founder funded private equities, or where there is some amount of sweat capital put in by the founders. Those are things which are very attractive among the HNIs and the UHNIs, what we've seen.
Thanks, Sonali. Thanks, Sonali. I mean, I think your answer basically is the increasing focus among people in the private equity space all in India speaks volumes about people's confidence in growing India. A private equity space will grow very fast when there is a growing economy and people's trust in the economy is very strong. So I think that what we see over a period of time. And recent geopolitical decisions taken by some of the major decision makers also has helped several ways in this particular space.
Absolutely.
So that's great. Also from Saurabhji, what I understood you spoke about, there is a latent segment, which is a small segment where people are now moving across. You gave an example where they wanted certain kind of advices and you had to direct it to somebody else. So I believe that it reminds us that wealth is at the bottom of the pyramid. I think to you, this bottom of the pyramid is those uncatered to segment which has 100 crore around of wealth lying with them, but they do not know how to make the best use of it. So that's something which was an eye opener as part of your discussion. So let's move on from here. In today's world, no decision is complete, no discussion is complete without bringing artificial intelligence. It goes beyond saying, and AI is like omnipresent. Without whether you like it or not, you have to be part of it and you have to adapt it. And some of my friends say it's only the tip of the iceberg. You have not seen the major part of what it can do for you. Some call it threat, some call it, it's a kind of opportunity, some call it is good. It will make us think otherwise. So the different opinions. It's an open question, starting with Shubhoshar again. Sir, AI in the banking sector, AI in the banking spectrum, AI in the wealth management spectrum, AI in the financial services. Very open question. What's your take on this? Keeping in mind, you not only have been involved in the decision making of the largest bank in UAE, but you continue to consult a lot of those companies which are reshaping the AI decisions of tomorrow.
So my personal view, because a lot of range of views on this, and obviously open for debate. So no view is a right view or a wrong view, but my personal view is AI is as big a game changer for financial services, whether retail bank or wealth management or beyond, as internet was for us. So I think it'll have the same seismic shift in terms of client behavior, the kind of products we can put out, the kind of service we can do. All of that changed when mobile banking came in, online banking came in, right? About 20 years back. The same thing will happen with AI today, especially for wealth management. I think two things. One is you just talked about the bottom of the pyramid, right? At the mass affluent level or the mass market level, we're seeing tons of people, millions of people in India moving to equity through mutual funds, right? Great job being done by companies like Anandati, the government, all players in democratizing that kind of wealth management product. I think AI will change that further, and you will see a huge democratization of wealth management through AI for the mass affluent and for even the emerging affluent, right? People who have some savings that they can deploy outside day-to-day, current savings accounts and fixed deposits. I think the next level is going to be mutual funds. So I think that with AI and robo advisory, a lot more can be done. The other end of the spectrum, at the higher end of the spectrum, for the high net worth individual or the ultra high net worth, you can now use AI to personalize solutions like never before. You can predict every trend, every single behavior of the client, and actually assist the RM, not say replace the RM, assist the RM to provide far more tailored solution to the client at the client who wants a absolutely bespoke white glove service. So both ends will be transformed with AI. So that's in terms of customer management. But think of the revolution it can do in dumb stuff that we do all the time as bankers, and many of you are already bankers, in compliance, the kind of stuff we do on KYC. All of that is so backbreaking for both the client and the bank. All of that can get totally swept aside. Far better work done by AI in evaluating documents, looking what is available, what is not, what is complete, what is not. Reconciliation, right? Banks around reconciliation. There's so much of back end work in banking that takes human labor that will replace the digital labor tomorrow. That will transform the quality of lives of bankers going forward. When I started as a branch manager in the Brabon Road branch of Calcutta with Citibank, my first job as a banker, after the bank, those are the 4 hours of banking, 10 to 2. At 2:01, we sat down with all the deposit slips and all the checks, and you tallied the deposits and the checks. I don't know how many of you have done this. Every day by 2:30, you had one error. 10,000, 100,000, or 1,000 would not tally. And you broke your head because 3 o'clock was the clearing deadline. Without balancing that, you couldn't send the checks in, right? The whole clearing would stop for the bank. That is, if you look back, nonsensical work, right? We had to do it. All of that is gone today's world, right? You don't need to do that anymore. Like that, there are thousands of examples where AI can transform our lives for both bankers and clients. So I think it's as profound as the internet.
I would completely agree. I mean, the way you have broken down into the use of AI as per the segments of the wealth pyramid, I mean, democratization for the affluence, personalization for those who are HNI and UHNI. From the banker's point of view, compliance, especially on the KIC, I mean, the kind of mundane activities which or the paperwork can be taken care. Uh, Before I move to Sonali on this, a related question to you, sir. If you would have been a banker now, you are a banker always. If you have been still been on the roads of a bank, what advice would you have given to your employees?
Learn new skills, be curious. I think if you are doing work which is value add for the clients, I don't think there's any reason to worry. I think a lot of bankers are very worried, like other industries, but what this would do, I think what this will do to us is help us do richer jobs. Is my firm view. I think a lot of the quote unquote dumb work we did in the past is gone or is going. I think we can do far more value added work that is far more satisfying to us as individuals. Nobody, I promise you, no human being likes to do stuff which is repetitive, which is dumb, which is mundane. And I think if we embrace the new technologies, like, I mean, if you think of Excel versus pre-Excel Live, when you added, on a calculator or adding machine, Facet was a brand, I think, adding machine, right? Today, Excel has replaced that. And none of us actually bemoan the fact that, oh, we lost out on adding machines, right? None of us feel sorry for adding machines. Similarly, I think in the post AI world, once you get used to what we can do with AI, you'll forget what you did without AI. This is my firm belief. So the sooner we embrace technology, the sooner we accept it's a reality, Let's not fight it. Let's embrace it.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Sonali, your take on this.
Yeah, I agree with everything that actually Shubho sir has said, but I think what I would like to add is that, you know, just like technology came in, you have other technologies when they came in, you can use it to your advantage or you can let it to be something that can bring you down. So AI again is one of those things that there is so much of value add that it can do, but important to know that it's not to replace you. Uh, Giving you an example on mundane work that we're talking about. So in wealth management, what is so important is to give that good service, right? Part of being good service is note taking, um, getting to know what happened, having timely actions according to that. Now, if AI can help me with that, I have data that has been put in this documentation, or this document is what should be presented when the meeting is related to this. All of that AI is able to provide for me. Then my meeting prep time goes off, right? I don't have to prep for meetings before, so I'm able to do more meetings. At Anand Rathi, we have a cap of 50 clients that every relationship manager can manage, because of the fact that we don't think that more than 50 you can actually service if you have to meet them once a month, right? What we can see is that this is going to be able to allow us to reach out to more people and service more clients, because a lot of the mundane things is going to be taken away. At the same time, I think for those who are worried that, if relationship management is going to be taken over, that's not true. At the end of the day, if you do see some of the data points as well that has been shared, so 2025 CFA Institute reported that 91% of the recent Indian graduates still want a human financial advisor, right? So, and if we look at our business has been growing, where all about personal interactions, and we have the lowest attrition in the country in terms of relationship managers. Clients have been with us for like 10, 15 years, and their next generations are our clients. It's the human interaction which is driving that relationship. While advice is extremely important, but that connection, or for them to know how my children are, and growing with me as my family is growing, is that personal edge that only humans can bring in. So AI for sure going to change the landscape of the way we are going to be doing business, but I also will put it with a little bit of air of caution that still professionalism and professionals are needed. A lot of people utilizing AI for doing things like derivative trading, or other more complex finance things, can lead to very large losses as well. So I would say that there's this other part as well, of AI, which is important for people to be aware of, and not think that they are the wizards because chat gpt said that you're so good at doing what you're doing. So yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful. I was just thinking of a day, may not be in our time, that we have a new revolution coming. It's not called the AI revolution, but it's called the AE revolution, artificial emotion. You never know. You never know artificial emotion, because that's the only thing we are playing on now, emotion. That's what relationship is all about. That's what we cling on to relationship, because we believe machines cannot be emotional as we are. That reminds me of the movie Robot. Uh, Saurabhji, you have been in the alternative space, and I know you do use one of the things which you mentioned, which in fact Shubho sir and Sonali also mentioned, that one of the advantages of AI is AI has been able to somehow make things a little bit more predictive, and predictive analysis and all those quantitative aspects we do. Your fund basically is a quantitatively driven fund, and you rely a lot on algorithms. I'm sure AI would be also impacting the way you do your business. From the very specific standpoint of alternative investments, what's your take on AI?
Dr. Banerjee, basically, a lot of the business that runs via the quantitative methods, the investments that run via the quant route, are basically dependent on data. There's a lot of data that the algorithms imbibe, and then they try to tell you the patterns. So it is about being able to find the most optimal pattern out of large amounts of data which is coming in, and the pattern can be for a small period of time or it can be for a slightly larger period of time. The advantage, I would not say that AI is right now able to replace the algorithms which are running these things, but at the same time it is able to provide you insights after looking at the data. So you provide the data to the AI, it provides you insights to say that, guys, have you looked at this part? Maybe this part is behaving not the same way that you wanted it to behave. And then you look at it afresh and you say, okay, there's somebody who's telling us, that somebody is the AI, is telling you that look at this part more carefully. So once you start looking at those parts carefully, you realize that seems to be a kind of a movement which is going against you. So it is not optimal as you would have wanted it, because of the fact that this little bit of data is working against you. So while this is right now for most people, it is happening after the event has happened. Imagine this getting, completely aligned with your systems so that it starts alerting you as and when things are happening. So once that happens, your optimization of the overall, what you want to do becomes better. So it is like that ADAS, right? The automatic driving assistance system. So when you're driving on the road, it says, oh, okay, stay in the lane. Don't go out of the lane. So this is where AI is going to become more and more powerful. Of course, on the flip side of it, I'm trying to figure out what will happen when you have 10 funds competing with each other. All of them are driven by AI. So which AI is going to be better? So sometimes I feel, I dream that there'll be an AI engines which will have a conference of their own to basically decide, how do we get better so that we are able to serve these guys, the humans, better. So it's a very tricky world. Things are changing very fast. You have all these big claims coming out of ChatGPT, your Grok, your Claude, your Gemini, that we can do this, we can do that. But I think it's still far away, but it's very interesting. And to some people, it's very scary the way things are changing. And of course, I personally, from my perspective, I want to integrate as much possible AI into our systems before we get, trampled over by people who have done it better than us.
Saurabh, thank you so much. I mean, that scary part, we'll talk about it. Uh, on a related question, on a related aspect, you Sonali ma'am are actively into this industry. Shubho sir has been an active involvement in the industry and now is a consultant. Starting with you, Saurabh, how much do you think the wealth management industry is ready for AI adoption from the commercial point of view and also from the non-commercial readiness point of view?
Okay, so I will answer it in two parts, if that is fine. One is the wealth management industry in India has figured out the need to have a more uniform system which can handle the entire process. So that is the reason why you have the birth of wealth tech. So India, I would say, is one of the leaders in wealth tech. You have these firms which are basically advising family offices and wealth managers to have very streamlined processes. So all the steps of the various processes are getting run through an app. So I would say the wealth tech apps and some bigger names are, you have Centricity in North India, you have Nivesh, which are having the apps. One of my very close friends runs Crystal, Kristal in Singapore. They are in Dubai also. They actually started like in 2017 as an AI-driven app, which will look at the profile of the investor and tell them what they should buy and what they should stay away from. But coming back to this, wealth tech is very important. And wealth tech is transforming the business because it is taking away the mundane things, as Suvo said in his, nobody likes the mundane things. Wealth tech is the first step which is taking away the mundane. Now imagine AI coming and getting integrated into this wealth tech. So instead of the people making those rules in wealth tech processes and the app, it is the AI which will say, right now, this seems to be better, so we will follow this. Right now, we realized within a month back, SEBI has changed some regulations. Those regulations have this impact on this part of the wealth tech app, and we will change this. Of course, with approvals, human approvals. But imagine this happening on a regular basis. You will have created an app and integrated AI with that. And suddenly you will realize that the app is changing every week, every month, and becoming better. And the coding in the app is also being done by the AI, which realizes that I need to change these parts. Let me get into this, backend, make those changes in the code so that this, starts looking much better. The UI UX experience, the user interface, user experience will become better. As actually on a very extreme basis, a particular user using a same app will see something else, the other user will see something else, because that will be more relevant to them. And the app will decide, the AI will decide what is going to be shown to what. So that is the commercial aspect of it. Just imagine this future where you will have an app that you have created and that will keep on changing, and your user will be very, very happy to say, okay, guys, you've done a great job here. And what will the relationship manager do? And what is it that, will be changing from his daily perspective, from he goes to the office, meets clients? What is going to change? I think a lot of time will get freed up for the human emotions that Sonali was talking about, that the emotion part of it, that I know the family. There will be more conversations which will be more interesting. The mundane part would have got taken care of by the backend, the AI, the app, the wealth tech, and more interesting human conversations will happen. That is the commercial aspect. On the non-commercial aspects, I mean, if you can enlighten what exactly are you talking about, I will try to.
In fact, sometimes your adoption of AI can be driven by a long-term strategy, which might not given you an immediate ROI. Okay, so how do you think are the industry convinced to adopt AI, keeping in mind it might give you an immediate ROI, but it can give you a long-term ROI? That was.
Yeah, I think from our conversations with most of the large wealth management companies in India, and a few of them are distributing our fund also. So one thing is very clear, that they realize that their competition might adapt to something which might lead to the market share moving to that competition. And so most of these people are very much aware of what is going to happen over the next 1 to 3 years, and then 3 to 5 years. So even though they may feel that there is an investment requirement right now, they can look into the future and say that I will take that risk. So technically it is not non-commercial. So it is non-commercial from the perspective that today they will not be, as you rightly mentioned, today there may not be an ROI, but for some people, actually, it might be the differential between staying relevant or getting just sidelined, because their systems and processes could not catch up. So it's a very, very, that's why I said some part of it is very scary.
So basically, this basically has been an outcome of your interactions with several of those.
Absolutely, there is no confusion at all.
In fact, one of the point that you mentioned has brought us to the complete the circle which Shubhasa started with, if you remember. So you said app getting better every day. So basically, everybody will have a different kind of experience, user interface, UI UX. Basically, that's where we started. One of the trend is hyper personalization.
Absolutely.
That's where we started. So one of the great things that we might see AI is create that hyper personalization. And the only relevant thing that will remain is how much at the cost of human interface and that human touch and human feel. So Shubha sir, before I go to Sonali, your take on the AI in terms of an industry veteran, and as you see in this part of the world where AI, though it's a small place, UAE, but the kind of initiatives taken by the government, the kind of initiative impact and the kind of assertability that the government has taken in terms of AI adoption is tremendous. As an outsider, we see that. How do you see as an insider?
Well, first of all, Abu Dhabi, just to give a perspective, Abu Dhabi is now considered the third most important center in the world for AI, third most. So obviously, it's playing an outsized role in terms of where from a geopolitical perspective versus what impact they're having on AI. So UAE is definitely a significant player for AI globally, not just regionally. But two examples of wealth management, I want to just quote. They're anecdotal examples, but I think this shows you the reach and power of AI, just to add to what Saurabh was saying. One is I saw a demo. These people who launched Money Control in India many years back. The app called Money Control, which is used by a lot of people for checking the stock market. The same founder has now launched a new app called Market Mojo. I don't know how many have seen this, but Market Mojo actually tracks 60 stock. There are about 60 stock markets in the world, right? Whether it's Anand Rathi, whether it's UBS, whether it is Julius Baer, most private banks only cover certain number of stock markets. 15, 20, 24. That's the coverage, right? Because you don't want to cover every stock market in the world because not relevant for your customers. But that is incomplete, correct? I mean, ideally, I want to buy stock in a very remote frontier market. And that's my passion. You can't stop me doing that. Now, I can't go to a bank because most banks will not cover that. So what Market Mojo does is cover 60 stock markets globally, every single stock in the world, anywhere which is moving, is being covered. Covered how? 24/7, by the minute. So any piece of news, if Trump announces higher price on tax on whatever tariff on steel coming in from, let's say, Europe, European steel manufacturers' stock might drop by 2%, right? That happened at 4 p.m. By 4:01 p.m., the recommendation on that stock might be buy because it's gone down by 2%. Now, this actually gives you a 5 recommendations: strong buy, neutral, sell, strong sell, by the minute for every single stock in every single stock market. Imagine that, right? Now, this is live. This is live. This is a app which you can actually plug into. They're selling it in India. They're selling it soon globally. But now imagine the CIO teams in different banks who are sitting and analyzing stock markets globally, looking at research reports, etc. If the AI can do that, now obviously you need an overview. AI can go crazy. You want to make sure there's no bias, all of that, right? So hallucination. If you can control that, the coverage is itself 100%, 24/7, right? This is a game changer, right? That's one aspect. The other one, I just saw a demo, my own firm, India IFC, where what Sonali was saying, your RM is talking to a client. This is a virtual RM talking to a real client, talking about how the portfolio performed in the last 3 months, quarterly performance review. Now, the RM goes on to say, sir, your NVIDIA stock has gone up by 22% in the last 3 months. Well done. And by the way, your Google stock has just stayed flat. And the client said, well, I bought NVIDIA actually on 2nd April. The agent says, no, sir, 2nd April is stock market holiday. Actually, bought on 3rd April. And you bought at this price. A real RM cannot say that because you've got to go back and check. Was it a holiday? What date was it bought? A virtual RM, which is done by AI, can actually look at it live and give an answer live while you're talking, or when you bought, when you sold, what happened. This is something that can actually make our RM's life much easier, right? The conversation with a virtual RM. And guess what? You can change the accent from being Indian to North Indian to South Indian just by turn up a dial, into British, into American, into French. So imagine that you customize the accent of the RM to the accent of the client so that he or she is more comfortable. You want a man, you want a woman, you want a older man, older woman, up to you what kind of RM you want. That's the tone of voice that will come through. This can be a game changer. I've seen both these demos and both are fascinating. And in a way, a bit scary as well. For being in the industry for so many years, it's a bit scary as well. What it can do to transform our industry.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for echoing the pros and the concerns of Saurabh also. Sonali, your take.
I think, thank you again, Dr. Banerjee. A lot has been said, but I'll just add one point, which is the fact that what we see is that traditionally, wealth management was available to a certain set of customers after a certain amount of wealth has been generated, If it's the bigger banks, they have minimum ticket sizes of upwards of $1 million, etc. What AI can really do, and it has already helped us. We are a private wealth management firm ourselves, and it's not viable for us to have 50 customers who are going to be giving us, say, 10 lakhs each, right, as a relationship manager. So we have ticket sizes of at least upwards of 1 crore that one needs to have, and a net worth of $1 million. And 5 to 50 crores is our target segment. So what AI we see and has already helped us and can do is help to cater to a lower segment, who, if we have to look at it, is from also a noble perspective, those who actually require some amount of help to get out of that cycle, right? They're earning, but they're not investing. They're wanting to go out to invest, but they don't know who to go to. Because the ticket sizes are higher. So this is where we think that is again a massive opportunity of growth as well. And like the virtual RM, I can't go physically and spend an hour with somebody who has only 10 or 25 lakhs to invest, right? But if I can have a virtual RM do that for me, then, and I can handle 100 such customers like that, that's adding to my business. So definitely there is a lot of opportunity in the segments which are not viable to be catered by physical human relationship managers. There's a big opportunity there. That's what
Thank you so much. So, I mean, as I understand, on one side, we have a burgeoning, exploding wealth management market, which primarily is happening due to the increased number of participants who are becoming rich by the day. And on the other side, you need somebody to cater to those requirements. Imagine if a non-human interface comes and takes care of a lot of those mundane activities which requires not real but artificial intelligence. How much of personalization, how much of care, how much of listening to the client can be done by the humans? So I think AI is most timely for the wealth management industry as compared to anything else, I would say. I mean, on a very selfish note. So it's a very timely intervention. Since we have only less than 10 minutes, before we open up our lines for questions, the last bit from all of you. And this is something from a selfish point of view. What suggestions you have for students who are going to graduate with a wealth management degree? What kind of skills would you suggest them to hone up so that the industry accepts them as tomorrow's leaders? Starting with Shubho sir.
And the first thing I would say is, in the older days, there was an asymmetry of information between the client and the relationship manager. Typically, the RM or the banker knew more than the client because you read more, you had more information. That is gone. There's no asymmetry anymore. The client knows as much or more than you because he or she is reading the same newspapers, the same sources, the same AI platforms, etc. So keeping up with what is going on is critically important. You will look like a fool as an RM if you go and talk about stuff that you don't know about. So you better buck up and learn what's going on if you're going to be in the wealth industry. Learn about different products. We talked about the diversity of products available today, not the vendor products, alternatives, private equity, private credit. The client can talk, depending on what kind of client he or she is, can talk about all of this. And you have to know better or take an expert with you to talk because the client knows as much or more than you. That is a given for us. So I think curiosity in learning more things, adoption of AI in your daily life, all of that will help the next generation RMs.
Moving to you, Saurabh.
Basically, part of what I was going to say has been said by Shubho. Just wanted to add that overall speaking, if you want to make as a student, if you want to learn from this program and make a career in wealth management industry, you have to be very, very comfortable with the environment around you. which means that even if you are working for one of the firms, you should be able to see you should be able to find out what the other firms are doing. If you are doing more of private equity, find out what is happening on the private credit side, so that you are completely aligned with whatever the client. See, whatever the client is going to meet so many people, you are only one of them. What the client is hearing from the other people is important for you to know. So you have to be very, very comfortable with the entire environment. The second thing is, of course, get used to the AI coming in, and get used to the fact that your relevance, if I may put it this way, is more chemistry than mathematics. Even though you need to learn the financial skills, the mathematical skills, the chemistry with the client, the relationship aspect is very, very critical. So you have to be very conscious of what the client likes, what they don't like, what their family likes, what they don't like, if you want to have a long-term relationship with the client. So remember that chemistry is more important than mathematics, I think, and environment. These are the two takeaways from my side.
Yeah, the chemistry is always important than the mathematics in life. That's true. Fantastic. Uh, Sonali, your last words.
I would say this that we have gotten used to in this world of instant gratification and looking for getting into things for short-term benefits. Um, while that might have been possible in the wealth management industry in the past, for the reasons that Shubha sir mentioned as well, that the knowledge levels were very different. So it was fairly easier to talk about something, look smart, and gather a lot of people to believe in you and get clients. But that has changed. So we have to have also a mindset of more long term. Getting into this industry, it may not be as rewarding, in your first job or your second job, but it may take some time. But it is, very growing industry. It's very rewarding physically, mentally, financially, everything. Um, the kind of appreciation you get from your customers when you have done good for them, always keeping them first rather than your self interests, just leads to long term. That's the key to having the long term relationship. So I would say replace all words that you have in your dictionary which are short sighted, short term, to more long term. Bring yourself to the fact that I'm in this for the long haul. There will be something that will come out of it. I have to see that time through. That's my advice.
Long time back. Thank you, Sonali. Sir, you would like to say something, Shubha sir?
I just want to add to what
Please, please, please.
they were great words of wisdom towards the end. I think, this is one industry, let's admit it, wealth management probably has the most amount of mis-selling in the industry. The number of products sold by relationship managers are overeager for their own companies to meet revenue targets, overeager for their own incentives and bonuses, to dump the wrong product to the right customer. It is very sad to see that happening across the industry in multiple places. It's not just UAE, it's not just India, it's across the world, right? Some markets are more regulated, some are less. But I think we still have to behave ourselves much better than we've done in the past. The point Sonali made, you were here for the long term. Unless you're here for making short-term bonuses, short-term profits and walk away, I think companies have to push the RMs less for targets, and RMs have to push themselves more to align with the client's interest, client's life stage, client's financial needs. I think that is a critical one in terms of ethics for us to think of, because you're playing with people's savings, their life savings. We have a responsibility fiduciary, a moral responsibility to the client. We cannot sell wrong products to the clients. I feel very strongly about this, and I see so much of that going on in the industry wherever I work. And I'm sure Sonali sees this every day. I'm sure Saurabh sees it every day. I think it's very critical that we are very mindful of this. And my one appeal to all people listening is please don't missell. It's terrible for the reputation of the industry.
Thank you so much, sir, and Sonali ma'am and Saurabh ji. In fact, it reminds me, uh, I had around 15 years back a small discussion with the country head of Citibank, and we were on a very personal chat. And he said, "Arindam, you know what business we are into?" I said, "Sir, you are into banking." He said, "No." We are into managing people's relations. That's all. The rest only flows if the right thing is done properly. So if the relationship is maintained, automatically everything would start flowing. You don't have to work. It will be an autopilot mode. The issue with relationship is it has to be genuine. That's very important. And I can understand, sir. I mean, the industry is such, if you are being too generous, somebody is not. So, and that makes the other person feel, oh, I'm in that prisoner's dilemma game. So what should I do? But I think there is no compromise on being ethical. uh, we are exactly 1 hour. I'm not sure whether uh, Ms. Banerjee, Ms. Ishita Banerjee will allow us to open lines for questions. But if there is some more time, we would be very happy to open up the lines and open for any questions that comes from the audience. Ishita ma'am, over to you.
Sir, we have not received any questions so far. So there are chances sometimes when we end the stream, we get questions in the comment of LinkedIn. So it will be great if you take some time, maybe towards the end of today, to answer if any question comes. So far we have not received any questions.
Wonderful, wonderful. So I take this opportunity once again to thank Shubho sir. You have been extremely kind, keeping in mind your schedule, preoccupation. Saurabh sir, thank you. You shuffle between multiple offices across India, I can understand. So thank you so much. And we are going to meet in a few days' time in Mumbai. So eagerly waiting for that. Sonali, it's been amazing. Every time I interact with you, I find that with all compliments, you have grown younger, but more experienced in terms of your work profile, but younger. When I talk to you and see to you, you bring fresh perspective that makes you more young. Ishita ma'am, thank you for everything. You have been amazing in terms of organizing this, in terms of getting us all on board, and continuing this legacy of Lead Tomorrow series, which you have been doing very successfully. So
Thank
I
you,
thank
sir.
every one of you, and it's been a very, 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 I would say, uh, knowledge sharing session. And I personally have taken a few things which I'm sure I'm going to use them without your permission as part of my class discussion for sure. So thank you
Thank you
so
so
much,
much.
Thanks,
and
everybody.
It
wish
was
you
our
wonderful
pleasure
days ahead.
and
Wonderful.
really learned a lot. Thank you to the others
Thank
as well. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Thank you. Now I'm ending the stream. And thank you to everyone. Thanks once again.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.